Hello, hello. Let me just invite our esteemed guest in. Here we go. Here with y'all. I have several of Nikki's books right here, ready to go so we can talk magic for the new year.
Hi,
Hello.
here we are.
It's so nice to be talking to you.
You too. Let me make this
I
just a
have
little loud.
several of your books here. I went like a binge about a month ago and then was catching up. I have some pages marked and have been doing some of your spell work, which is really fun.
Oh, thank you. It makes me so happy to hear that.
Yeah, great. Have a favorite? You have a lot of books, but do you have
I
a
do.
favorite of all the books that you've written?
um, I think Forest Magic is my favorite of the ones that's out because it's the one that's closest to my practice. But there's another book coming out in sometime this year. I'm very bad at this.
You're great.
um, and it's called Fairies, and it's a very different kind of book. It doesn't have spells. It doesn't have it's not prescriptive, but it's got a lot of folklore and poetry and art. It's just kind of looking at all of the different kinds of fairies the world over,
Oh,
and for a given definition of fairies that's pretty broad.
I, I love that. I'm gonna have to pre-order because I grew up with fairies. My nana and I used to build fairy houses, make fairy
Ah,
food, and I have a whole lamp in the bedroom that's a fairy house inside of it. I
I
love
love
that.
that. There was a trail when I used to live in New Jersey. We would go on this trail, and we just stumbled across it one day. Everybody had built fairy houses along this little trail, just out of sticks, and some of them were beautiful and so elaborate. And some of them, a mom brought her toddlers with some popsicle sticks, clearly, and that was also delightful. Like, it was just so great.
I know gnomes are having their moment right now, but
They
for a
sure
while,
are.
fairies. I know gnome axolotls now. Back in my day, it was dragons and fairies.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk through some of the books that you have. I have them all listed on your workshop page, 5 to 9 Books website. Quite a few, which is great. I love that your skill set in magic is so comprehensive. So I have here the ones that I could find in my local store that I started out with, but I am expanding my repertoire. I have Practical Magic, a beginner's guide to crystals, horoscopes, psychics, and spells, which honestly is my personal favorite at the moment because it's just such a great starter book. Like it really covers everything as far as introductions. I mean, chakras, it covers colors and different things that you can do to invite magic into your life on an everyday basis. And I actually, for the holidays, I went and sewed a satchel with like runes and
Oh,
oracles, and then
yay.
filled it with stones and herbs from the book that you recommended for my friend
Yeah.
for protection and strength. And it was like such a great moment to sit down together and really feel centered and focused on this protection and the strength that we really want to do invite into her life. And I think
Yeah.
what I love about magic is it's regardless of whether or not you believe in it, it's a moment to sit down and really feel centered and focused.
And I'll be honest with you, there are times when I think that's all that it is, and that's perfect. It's just time for you to feel still, to feel your own strength, to like recenter yourself, regain your equilibrium. And it's so funny because Practical Magic was my first book, and it was my starter book as well. Like, I had always kind of been interested, but not. It wasn't like I had some major practice or something. And my editor, Shannon, actually emailed me asking did I happen to know anybody who might want to write a book like this? And I was like, I would like to. So it's how I got started in the process of writing it,
And
which was
what drew you to wanting to get into magic? What inspired you to volunteer to write that book?
um, I mean, I think the same as you. I just kind of grew up very magical. I mean, I don't know if you remember those stores. Maybe they died out in the 90s, where you could go and they had like fountains, and they had crystal bins that you could dig through, and chimes, and all of these things. I loved them. And, little glass bottles, I would make potions. And, just as a child, that was what I wanted. And I took it so seriously.
Mhm.
I was very earnest.
I did too. I just found a metaphysical shop near me
Yeah.
that but a little more grown up. And I walked in and was immediately transported back to being 8 or 9 years old and feeling like the world is so magical and there's so much possibility. And it was such a fun experience. And I was talking to the shopkeeper and coming up with all of these ingredients. And I had my books with me and I was like, I want to do this one. And they were like, you can mix and match. You don't have to follow it. And I was like, I don't want to mix the wrong ones. And they were like, that's not
It's not like that. It's not
it's
like
not
that.
like that. You just combine the things. It's really all about your intentions. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to mess it up by putting like this
Yeah.
with this one and they like react. And I think part of it was I actually had this memory reading potions from you. When I was younger, my friend and I had a sleepover and we decided to make a magic potion by filling a styrofoam cup with every chemical we could find in the house.
That's a bad idea.
Uh-huh. It was glow sticks and those like squishy balls and
Oh,
things from under the sink
oh no.
through the cup all over everything. It was like a whole reaction. So I'm always a little bit nervous, but as your book states, and as the shop owner at the metaphysical shop mentioned, it's really more about intentions. It's
Yes.
about what you want to bring in, and it's not as dangerous as
No, no, no,
manipulation.
no. But there's also something like you said, like we were talking about being drawn to this as children. And there's something about coming back to that sense that the world is full of magic. It's really hard to feel like that a lot of the time.
It is.
And it, it feels like, it feels so important to me to work at that, to make it a practice. Because it's not the default setting. We don't feel that way when we have bills and grocery lists and various terrible things going on.
That's actually what drew me to your third book I have here, Calming. As a kid,
Yes.
fun. And as an adult, what I really want is to feel like I've done everything I can and I've put it out into the universe and now it's in the universe's hands and I can relax, let
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Calming magic. I want to say I wrote that in 2016, so that's funny. Right around the time when everything was terrible. um, Again, and yeah, it's really helpful. Calming magic is just all about various ways to center yourself and regain some energy. Not, it's not about doing things. It's not about like, there are lots of books that have come out recently, and I really admire them, about magic as activism
Mm.
and how to, do more with that. Calming magic is not that. It's the take the rest.
Well, and there's now a movement that rest is activism. Rest is,
Yeah.
I,
Yes.
who is it that does that? That's a whole book. It's Rest is Resistance and We Will Rest. It's a manifesto from the Nat Ministry.
Yeah.
Incredible. And so
Incredible. Yeah. So that's that's a practice I think I still have to work at. I'm not very good at resting. Um,
you and everyone else.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about everyday magic and how we can invite it into our lives. So we're going into this New Year's 2025. There's a lot up in the air. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of apprehension, a lot of uncertainty. Let's talk about some ways to find magic and invite it into our everyday lives because I know that is a big part of your platform.
It is. That is honestly the if there's anything that I'm like, this is what I want to share, that's it. And I think that, like you were saying earlier, people get caught up in the rules and rituals. And I try to offer a lot of like suggestions. Here's a lot of rituals, and they're pretty simple, just to kind of get people started. But I'll be honest, most of the time, I don't, in my personal practice, have a lot of like rituals or extended spells. For a special occasion, I'll do something like, whoop, my phone's falling. Like my my stepson needs an apartment, and desperately he needs to get out of his current apartment, and so I'm trying to do a little, send some intentions, do a little ritual to make that more likely for him. But most of the time, what everyday magic looks like is cooking dinner for your family and thinking, as sprinkle in some rosemary, what you want to remember tonight, or just doing everyday things with a little more intention, allowing for a little more possibility. That's really my whole practice. And yeah.
So then your definition of magic isn't necessarily the spells and the potions and the tinctures and the rituals, but or I guess it's a more of a focus on the ritual aspect and
I
the setting intention, feeling
I guess
focused.
that's true. I guess that I hadn't really thought about that, which isn't to say that I don't love the crystals and the tinctures, because I do. I
Oh yeah.
very, very much do. um, but they're a bonus. They're a way to get you started. I have a very curious dog, but that's okay.
Oh, dog or a duck?
Dog.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Here, you guys. This is hello.
oh, hello, sweetie. What's the puppy's name?
Puck.
Puck. Oh,
And she's new to our household and still getting used to understanding what's expected of her.
oh, sweet. I love that. We love animal visitors. My dog is coming in and out as well.
Yes, excellent.
Let's go into a little bit about writing your books and what kind of research goes into it. How do you find the things to write about?
Well, I was really nervous for practical magic because I didn't really know anything. And then I started looking into what other people's practices are like, to be honest, and what auras mean, because I don't know any of that stuff. And I found myself drawn more to certain things than others. Like, I have not really ever written again about auras, but
Hmm.
um, that's just because it didn't fully resonate with me. It's not that it's a bad practice, or anything like that. The research comes just because I really like reading about this stuff.
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. And I love, you know, what, you know, magic as a community is about, checking in and doing other things. Even if you look back, which I love to do, just thinking about like the witches of the herb witches or the midwives, and what were they all doing and how they shared knowledge. And it feels like, the magic witchy community is still like that. It's still very much like, this is a collaboration. We're here to support each other.
And collaboration is so important. Community collaboration,
Yes.
just together in today's age when it feels so isolating.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What communities are you part of? Who do you regularly other
Well,
witches or
that the problem with that, of course, is that I'm an extreme introvert and don't really talk to people.
you're here
So
now? You're
I'm
in
here
Hawaii,
now.
so
I'm
you're
here now. I'm doing my best. I have a few close friends, and we sometimes, do rituals together. But sometimes it looks the same as it does anywhere else, where it's just, I'm sitting on the couch laughing with my best friend, and that is some of the most important magic you can ever do. Um, yeah. So
No, I like that. And I like the refocusing everyday things as magical.
yeah.
It's the laughter is a huge ingredient in spell work and
Yes.
connection and like you said, intention and really thinking about being focused in a moment and then making that happen, making that feel important and feel magical to you. It's really a mindset change is a big part of it.
It is. It's, oh God, and it's such a hard thing to do. I have a very difficult time turning my brain off, and I have a very difficult time staying present in the moment. But again, like calling back to childhood, I remember how I would have these like surges of love for the people I was with. And it's not that I don't love a lot of people in my life, but I hardly ever feel that like, oh, I love this. I am in this moment and I'm enjoying this moment and I'm really feeling it, and it's joyful, and I know that it's joyful right now.
Mhm.
And that's something I think we'd really need to cultivate too.
And I want to talk about how you bring kids into this because you also have books for junior witches and astrologers and astronomers and young witches. But first, let's go through a couple of things that we adults can do in the new year to bring in
Sure.
happiness and peace, calmness, maybe even a little success and whatever our ventures are that we're going into. What are some small everyday things that we can do going into the new year to make a daily practice of magic?
I always tell myself I'm not going to make New Year's resolutions, but I do. Um, I think the the one that I would say is to make tea. And I apologize if you don't like tea, but making tea is a ritual that I perform every day, and it's something that I take very seriously. There's the time spent while the water is heating up, and you can be doing things around the kitchen. What tea do I want? Like really asking yourself that, you know, what would feel right for me? Do I want caffeine? Do I want this flavor? You know, do I want a special blend that I made myself? You know, you can do all of that, and then pouring the tea water over. I got a fancy kettle because I'm just that bougie. Um, and choosing your mug, that's important. And then while it's steeping, just because it takes time. Making tea is a process, and you're stopping work, you're stopping, you know, whatever it is you're doing, running around, and you're just making tea. And then when it's ready, my husband makes fun of me. I have a very elaborate honey stirring thing ritual that I do. It
Walk us
takes me a long time.
through.
I stir in the honey round and round and round and round and round until it dissolves. And then I lift it from the bottom because otherwise it gets stuck at the bottom. So that's the practical reason for doing it. But it's also like a physical way to just remind yourself to slow down, remind yourself to keep things moving inside and not hold on to grudges, not hold on to stagnant energy or and to not feel bad about yourself. I wake up feeling bad about myself sometimes and there's not even really any reason for it. And so and then I do this thing. This is so silly,
I
but
love
again, I do
it.
this thing where I get the tea swirling, and then I pour in the milk, and it just blooms like magic. And obviously, that's not really magic, but it makes me so happy to see it every time. So yeah, I would say just little rituals like that where you're making yourself stop.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I have here, I pulled it, I have it tabbed in your book, common plants and their uses in magic. And
Yes,
as part of the tea, and also I'm just going to throw it out there for those that don't like tea, hot cocoa.
absolutely.
And I cannot plain packet of hot cocoa. I'll start with the packet, and then I'm adding in my cinnamon and my
Yeah,
vanilla and my
yeah.
all of my extra stuff just to add a little bit of extra, and it just makes me feel a little bit, a little bit, a little witchy. I love it.
Little
My
witchy. Well, and by adding vanilla and by adding cinnamon, you're adding wisdom and energy and comfort. And, you know, they all have meaning.
my brother and I really perfected our hot chocolate recipe growing up. It was a huge thing we did, and we had to make it. We were the only ones that could make it for each other because we were the only ones that could make it right. And
Amazing.
grew up into adults that got really into tea. And now he is the tea ritual. He has a whole set and the different mugs, and you have to sip it at a certain time, steeping time, and you set a timer and everything. He is very, very intentional about his
I
teas.
love that.
That he is tea master, and I'm over here thinking, what would go really well with this is a little bit of sage or thyme. And I love this book because the things that I add in anyway, lavender, whatever,
Yes.
I'll look through and think, what am I really, I don't really know what I want. So what do I need right now? I'll think, oh, clarity of thought. That's great. Protection, and dive into that. And so some of these little things renews energy. So sorry. That's our dinner
Oh.
cooking. Time renewing energy. We have sage for wisdom, lavender for clarity, all of those great things to add to teas.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, I've listed those out, with their meanings and what they're for. Again, drawing from the collective wisdom
Mhm.
of which is past. But the other thing I just want to draw back to is if you have a certain association with like lavender, for me, it is very calming, but it also feels very like it opens things up. It opens my ability to see, different perspectives or, whatever. So lavender for me, I'm like, that's what I use it for. That's what I want lavender for. So you're going to develop your own practice and relationship with all of these different herbs and things.
And I did notice, I was looking through, I know you said auras and chakras are not like super what you're into, but you do have a book and they have essential oils and colors and sounds associated. And I was looking through this, realizing that some of my favorite mugs do have colors associated with the chakras, and they do pick them based on what it is I need without even knowing, like just
Yes, yes.
unintentionally. And so it's nice to be able to add a little bit of meaning to something that I was already doing.
Well, yeah, it's just confirmation. You're like, oh,
Hmm.
the whole time that was what I was doing. And the colors, they all really make sense. I think about, yellow as the solar plexus chakra all the time, because it feels so what I want to draw from. I want to draw from, like, I've practiced yoga, and I think about, that lock there, and I think about the energy that I want to bring. And anyway, I don't write about them that much because I'm not as informed as other people, um, but they're really, really powerful.
Yeah, no, have written here, I mean, it's beautiful. I love that it's about confidence and choice, balanced as being assertive without being arrogant. If you're blocked in the solar plexus, it's hearing that negative inner voice, fearing rejection, kind of being on the sidelines. And so the color yellow, essential oils of chamomile and lemon, also
Mm-hmm.
an excellent tea. The sound ah, just like all of those together is a great way of sitting still and really focusing on yourself and clearing that up and finding that assertiveness and that control you might feel you're lacking,
Yeah,
especially on.
yeah.
So those are great to lean towards as well. I also saw you have noticed here um, rune casting, meditation practices. You
Mm-hmm.
have all of these great ways of recentering and focusing. Major arcana, you get really into tarot and
I
things like
love
that.
tarot.
I just recently rediscovered tarot, and I did probably like 80 spreads over New Year's Eve with all of my friends. And
Amazing.
it's just been so nice to feel guided in a way, to
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have a little bit of that extra guidance that maybe I felt like I was lacking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm going to talk about tarot for a little bit.
Please
The
do.
the great thing to me about tarot is that they are just cards with pretty pictures on them.
Mm-hmm.
They just help you. They're a tool to help you understand your own questions, understand the answers, because you're the one interpreting them, or another person. But I find when I'm doing readings for myself that I am just going, oh, that's what I thought. That it's more confirmation than anything else. So my kid recently got. People ask me all the time, what deck should I
Mm-hmm.
get? Like, and it's a very weighted question, and I'm like, whichever one you like, sweetie. Like every time, that's my answer. Um, but the best illustration of this is my kiddo got a Welcome to Night Vale tarot deck
I love Welcome
recently.
to Night Vale.
Night Vale. Um, and they love Night Vale, so it was a wonderful, wonderful gift. And they were, they have many other tarot decks, so, but they sat down doing this one, and they were like, I can do a reading so much better because I know all of the history of each card that's been chosen, the meaning. So like the glow cloud means something more to me than, just the Empress. Like it's more than that. And that's how you should pick your tarot deck. That you should, I'm not saying you have to get like a silly
Yeah.
goofy one, or but it's just one that has meaning for you.
Something that resonates and makes sense to you. Absolutely.
Yes.
Someone told me recently that you are not supposed to pick out your own tarot deck. They're supposed to be gifted to you.
Um so that's interesting. I will say that I've been given, so that was a gift to
Hmm.
Kahua, and I have been given, my Rider Waite was a gift from a lovely woman who actually taught me to knit, and I only learned later that she was a witch as well, and she sent me her Rider Waite.
Oh,
Um, and so that deck is very precious to me for that reason. Um, the problem with that, with waiting for a gift, is sometimes you don't know anybody who's going to think to give you that gift. I didn't until I was already like writing books about witchcraft and things like that. And Shar says, Nikki, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, because she didn't tell me and I didn't tell her. We can be a little secretive about it. So yeah, that's the problem with waiting for a gift, is that you have to have your community already.
well, and I do like the idea that if a tarot deck or an oracle deck really does speak to you, then maybe it's the universe gifting it to you, like
Yes.
presenting that opportunity.
Yes.
So that's something to think about. I have multiple oracle. I like the oracle decks better than tarot, traditional tarot, for me specifically, just because the art and the story behind the decks tend to make more sense to me
Mm-hmm.
than the traditional cards do.
Yeah,
But in the same way you're saying, that's just what resonates with me.
that's great. Yeah.
And I do have some of your junior guides here too, but I don't have them directly on me. I'm not even sure where I put them. But I was looking through your one of your, I think it was the astrologer's guide.
Yeah.
The astrologer's guide was really, really cool. What do you do to invite magic into a child's life? Because as a parent or a caregiver or just an adult in a child's life, you do have a lot of influence in what they believe and how they think. And how do you make magic a positive thing? How do you bring that in
Uh,
for them?
I mean, so I mentioned my kid, and that, they grew up with me, just sort of learning this and bringing it into my life. And I started doing it. I started making it more like a family practice when they were pretty little. I want to say they were 2. And we started celebrating the winter solstice, and then we started doing a little more, not anything very elaborate usually, for the various pagan holidays. And then they just kind of got into it and they just rolled with it, and it's so important to me. We've talked a lot about magic for kids, and it's so important to me to lean into that, to teach kids that they should want that,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a good thing
Mm-hmm.
to see all that possibility and all of that magic in the world. And so that's why I wanted to write books for kids, just going, it's definitely there. You're not wrong. Hold on to it. Here are some ways that you can, really make it a practice so that maybe you can keep it as you get older.
Mm-hmm. I like that it not only is it an escapism, which is a great tool sometimes if everything is too much,
100%.
but also it is so empowering. It really does make you feel like you have everything you need in the world to succeed, to overcome something, to
Mm-hmm.
surpass a hurdle, maybe. And so I know that was really important to me as a kid with all of my good emotions, but all
Yeah. I mean,
forest walking.
it's also, okay, so you're going to take a test. You're so nervous about this stupid test, and you studied, but you don't feel good. Like, everything about being a child and school and stuff is just so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, I think I would hate being tested now. I never have to do that. Um, so I started, making these little charm bags, and or sending them, my kid to school with a crystal, going, you got this. Here it is. Here's tangible proof that you've got this.
Mm-hmm.
You can just hold on to it. And I think that's so important. All of us need that.
I would love that. I do. I do love. I have my crystals. I have a little spell jar on my desk. I've got my worry stones. Anything I need to just kind of feel not only more grounded in the moment reality, but also just a little bit of comfort, like you said. And it is
Yeah.
incredibly.
That's it's so valuable. It seems like a small thing, but it's actually so important. And that's what everyday magic is. It's going, this is small, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a part of making my way through what can often be a very difficult life.
Sure. Physically small, spiritually big.
Absolutely.
Do you have recommendations for stones that might help us going into the new year? if we're having a little trouble, difficulty getting started or feeling motivated?
So I'll just talk about the ones that I turn to most often. I really love selenite. Um, it's a very kind of clear, I didn't bring anything out with me, but it's sort of a just a wash it all away, like a whitewash of paint
Hmm.
um, stone, and I need that one all the time. Another really good one is black
Hmm.
tourmaline or any obsidian, something like that. That's really just grounding. It it just I'm like, okay, I'm here, and I'm gonna tell the truth. Sometimes when I'm on like a difficult phone call, I will just pick up one of these stones and hold on to it, and it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. So that's magic right there.
It is, absolutely. And before we close out our conversation, if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. But I did want to give you an opportunity to talk about your fiction novel that's coming
Oh,
out. So
thank
excited.
you.
First debut in fiction.
It is. It is. It's a young adult novel, and it is about. So I'm Native Hawaiian. I grew up on the Big Island of Hawaii, um, and it's about exactly what we're talking about. It's a 16-year-old girl who bears an awfully large resemblance to the 16-year-old that I was, and she's she's kind of going on with her life, going on with her day, and she stumbles across just magic and wildness, and is sort of shocked to find it still in the forests, even though when she was much younger, she could see it whenever she wanted. So it's really about everything we've been talking about, and I'm I'm very excited about it. It is called The Invisible Wild, and it's about trying to retain that connection to the something more that is all around us, but we don't usually think about.
When is that coming out?
It comes out May 5th.
Exciting. Well,
Hey,
congratulations. And
thank
thank you
you.
for joining us today and talking us through a little bit of how to incorporate magic and play into our everyday.
Of course, it was delightful.
And then everyone, remember that books are available through our shop, 5to9books, and through bookshop.org. I really encourage you to check them out because they're beautiful companions to everyday spell work, and they're fully comprehensive and very, very easy to follow. I love them for that. They do not feel overly complicated for me, which is fantastic. And I look forward to reading your fiction and reading about fairies in the new year.
Thank
Something to look forward to, if
you.
anything.
Thank you so much for having me. I really love the way that you've curated your shop, and it just feels so thoughtful and
Thank
generous of
you. I
spirit.
really appreciate that. I hope that everyone finds something that speaks to them and gives them a little bit of escape from everyday career and work and some fun.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining, and we'll see you soon. You couldn't have known this, but our next meet our next author Q&A is going to be with a witch who does specifically tea work, and we're going to be
Oh, how
making a
perfect.
date for Valentine's. So you'll have to
Oh,
come
amazing.
for that.
Yeah, I will have
Thank you
fun.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.